At Wind River Resort and Casino, we like to celebrate life's little moments. Oh, and the big ones too, because around here, when you're completely in the moment, that's when the magic happens. Come in and find your moment at Wind River Resort and Casino.
Good morning, everyone. I'm meteorologist Mike Krueger. Thank you so much for joining me here on Coffee with Krueger. By the way, this is the last time Coffee with Krueger will be on at 7 o'clock in the morning. I am going to be bumping it up a half an hour. About a month ago, I was talking about maybe potentially kind of starting at about 6 o'clock in the morning here. I did a little bit of research. I kind of did a few unofficial surveys, and it seemed like we kind of reached a middle ground with a lot of you saying that 6:30 was a bit of a good time. That was actually the original time I started when I started Coffee with Krueger, but then I decided to go to 7 o'clock. But now I'm finding that I think somewhere in that 6 to 6:30 hour might be the best bet. So we're going to try the 6:30 hour starting tomorrow for your April 1st, kind of just starting off the month of April. It won't be an April Fool's joke, I promise, but we will be looking at that at 6:30 in the morning. But as of right now, we're still at 7 o'clock this morning. All right, let's take a look at the satellite image here. So actually the radar. And if you look closely, we did see a lot of, some decent rainfall last night and even some snow in the higher elevations. And you'll also notice there was actually a lightning strike here in the last 30 minutes. Let's take a closer look at that. Now, there is a line of some rain between Anderson and Shingletown in just northeastern portions of the valley. Looks like we are seeing some of that activity here. Let's kind of zoom it in here a little bit closer. See where we're seeing most of that rain right now. Looks like it's east of Palisadro, between Palisadro and Shingletown. This is all moving to the north and east. Then we kind of bring it up to the north here, and it looks like we see that lightning strike. Looks like just to the west of Bernie, almost looks like a little bit of thunder snow. However, we are not seeing some very good return. Oh, looks like the latest sweep kind of just came in here. And there you can see, once again, a bit of a thunderstorm. If you live in the area, maybe there's some light snow, you may have heard that rumble of thunder while it's snowing. Very light, but there you go. So that's kind of looking at that right now this morning. Let's take a look at Krueger's Quickcast here for your Monday, March 31st. Just kind of a quick look at your forecast so you know what to expect for the day. You can start your day, look at the forecast real quickly, and then if you're done, don't need the deeper dive forecast, you'll be good to go. So the valley, fairly dry this morning at 8 o'clock. So as you're heading out the door, maybe even before that, there may be a sprinkle, a light shower here and there, but overall, I think most of the activity this morning at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock in the morning will be in the higher elevations and along the coast. And the coast may even see a chance for a thunderstorm early this morning as well. Temperatures right now are in the upper 40s to low 50s for the valley. We're talking 30s, even some 40s. For the higher elevations, and we're talking along the coast, and temperatures there in the mid to upper 40s. So we've got this storm system that's approaching, coming in from the west. Here's the main key that we take out of this. That area of low pressure, see the spin of low pressure there? See that brown dotted line there with that area of low pressure? That's just known as a trough. But that counterclockwise spin around that low in the upper levels of the atmosphere, it's just basically ushering in that cold and unstable air. And the reason we can call it cold and unstable air, and we know it's cold and unstable air, it's just that classic pattern that we're seeing, the speckled clouds. That's what's moving in here as we speak today and even tomorrow. And as a result, the Storm Prediction Center is putting us at least in a chance for some thunderstorms here for all of Northern California. And as we just saw that lightning strike just west of Bernie, I think everywhere in the mountains, foothills, coast, valley, all seeing a chance for thunderstorms at some point of the day today, including the morning, including the afternoon, and of course, including this evening as well. So let's take a look at Futurecast, and you can see some of the showers that we may see developing here, especially east of the valley, but we're seeing snow mainly east of the valley. There's a little bit of snow, looks like in southern Trinity County, with snow levels on average 2,500 to 3,500 feet. I'm doing a bit of a broad brush snow level forecast, and the reason being is I think the snow levels, as you'd expect, will be their lowest around 2,000, 2,500 feet in the overnight and early morning hours. That's when we see some of the coldest temperatures. And then during the daytime, they start to rise a little bit around 3,000 to 3,500 feet. So that's what I expect here for today. So places like Mount Shasta, places like Shingletown will all see that kind of the rain-snow mix. I think Bernie, you'll kind of be borderline as well, maybe a bit of mix there. Otherwise, mainly showers, possible thunderstorms. But 10 o'clock this morning, we are seeing some thunderstorms already beginning to develop. And we've already seen the lightning strike here this hour, just west of Bernie. So we can't rule out some lightning strikes through this morning going into the afternoon. But snow levels on average around 3,000, 3,500 feet. Now by midday, we're seeing better chances for those thunderstorms making their way into the valley, especially for Tehama County and Shasta County. Butte County, I think at this point, you're still not seeing much activity. But now we're seeing more of that snow in the higher elevations, but once again, I'd say around 3,500 feet. So a bit of a mix from Mount Shasta City and Bernie and places like Shingletown. Susanville, Alturas, maybe a bit of a mix, at times maybe some snow. So we go into the mid-afternoon hours. I still think we'll see some showers and possible thunderstorms for all of the valley. But look at the coast. Already by this afternoon, we're beginning to see things quiet down there, but we're still seeing some of that snow in the mountains. Here we are at 6 p.m. today, and see how the valley is not seeing much activity now, and we're seeing some scattered snow flurries in the mountains. But look at off to the coast here. We've got another round, another disturbance that'll be kind of pushing through late tonight and tomorrow morning. So you see, as we go into tonight, now we're seeing more showers, more possible thunderstorms for the coast. We're seeing snow in Trinity County, western Siskiyou County, but dry in the valley, and mainly dry to the east of the valley as well. But this is when we start to see those snow levels probably drop down to as low as 2,000, 2,500 feet. Hayfork, Weaverville, I think at this point maybe a little borderline, but maybe around after midnight, early tomorrow morning, not out of the question for some snow. And even some accumulating snow for Weaverville and Hayfork, down to about 2,000 feet. So there you can see the winter storm warning for the areas in pink. The purple is a winter weather advisory. Most of these areas will expire, these advisories and warnings will expire at 5 p.m. tomorrow, Tuesday. But for the eastern mountains, they'll expire at 11 o'clock tomorrow night. Take a look at the ski park here. Last 24 hours, you've seen about 5 inches of fresh snow. That puts the summit depth at about 110 inches. Right now, looking at groomed and packed powder out there. Wet on I-5, mainly wet on Highway 89, but you may run into some icy slick spots there. And the ski park highway, that's between 89 and the ski park itself, probably looking at some snow on the highway there. There you can see we could see over 2 feet of snow through the next 24 to 48 hours for the ski park, looking pretty good there. Now looking at the chain requirements this morning, you can see west of I-5, mainly on Highway 3 between 299 and 36. Speaking of Highway 36, 36 west, there are chain requirements there. And as we'd expect, most of the chain requirements are east of I-5, but on Mount Shasta, Weaverville, you're still looking at just the wet roads, as well as Highway 89. No chain requirements on Highway 89 at this point. That may change later this morning. But there you can see, looking at Dunsmuir, I-5 near Mount Shasta, Snowman Summit, looks good, looks okay. So if you are heading out to the ski park, you should be in good shape. But do note that there is most likely snow on the ski park highway. Buckhorn Summit, or at least below Buckhorn Summit, looks wet. Oregon Mountain, of course, Buckhorn Summit's just probably wet too. Berry Summit, looking at the wet conditions, but no snow up there. Here's a look at Highway 299 East. Hatchet Mountain, looks like we've got snow there. That's where we have chain requirements. Known as the Four Corners, that's Highway 299 and 89 intersection. Looks wet, no chain requirements there. But there are chain requirements on Cedar Pass. As you can see, it's covered in snow. All right, take a look at Highway 44 East. What we've got here is Shingletown, and of course it's just wet. Lassen Park, that's the entrance there, the north entrance. Looks like you are seeing a bit of snow on the highway there. Not a lot, but certainly slick. Bogard Ranger Station, no surprises there, seeing some snow up there. Kind of interesting though, we look at Highway 36 and Highway 89. This is near Chester. Just wet. I'm actually seeing snow there. Snow levels are actually fairly high. Johnson Gradeless looks a little wet, but for down your summit, that's at about 5,600 feet. Yeah, we've got some snow accumulating on the highway there. Kind of interesting. Taking a look at Highway 36, and this is kind of the intersection of 44 as well. That's on the left side of the screen there. It's just wet. Wet for Town Hill, just northwest of Susanville, southeast Susanville. Just those wet roadways, no snow at this point. So we look at the forecast road conditions. And they should improve for the most part by midday. But again, some of the higher mountain passes, especially east of I-5, I still think there will probably be chain requirements even midday. Highway 36 west, probably still some chain requirements there as well. By 5 o'clock this afternoon, looks like we've got more snow in the eastern mountains. So still plenty of chain requirements there. But I-5, most likely Highway 89 should be okay. 36 west, you might want to double check those road conditions before heading out even this afternoon and evening. Now, by 10 o'clock tonight, temperatures are starting to drop, and especially overnight tonight into tomorrow morning. Look at this. Now you're seeing snow on I-5 around Weed, Mount Shasta City, and even south of that. Dunsmuir, could see it. North of Lakehead, maybe seeing some of that. Highway 89, no, but of course, shocker there. Now, Highway 299 west, I'm not ruling out the potential for chain requirements on Buckhorn Summit, Oregon Mountain, Berry Summit. Again, keep in mind, what we're looking at here is not this morning, but tomorrow morning. Highway 36 west of I-5, Highway 36 west, chain requirements, and as you'd expect, lots of chain requirements east of I-5, most likely tomorrow morning. So I think the worst conditions for snow will be tonight and early tomorrow morning, and then improving by tomorrow afternoon. So today, you see a lot of lightning strikes on the map there. Everyone has a chance for thunderstorms, but here's what I'm going to say. I think the best chances for thunderstorms will be in the valley, Siskiyou County, westward, Trinity County, Del Norte, Humboldt counties. Now, you head in the foothills east of the valley, yeah, okay, thunderstorms. Paradise, some of the lower mountain communities like Bernie, maybe some thunderstorms. But east of that, I think Alturas and Susanville and all that, I think your chances will be slimmer, but we can't rule out that chance for a rumble of thunder as we take you through the afternoon today. All right, so here's your forecast for tonight. Dropping down the low 40s in the valley, 20s and 30s for the mountains, and low 40s tonight for the coast. Here's your 7-day outlook for the valley. Thunderstorms are in the forecast today and tomorrow. Now, I think the best chances for thunderstorms in the valley will be today. I think the best window will be late morning, early afternoon today. And then by the late afternoon, early evening, chances diminish a bit. Now, we've got the chances in there on Tuesday, especially in the morning, I'd say. But as we go through the day on Tuesday, the chances will probably start to diminish on Tuesday. Wednesday, you're dry, but still on the cool side. We still have some of that cooler air in place. Tuesday is that transition day from the cooler and wetter pattern to the warmer weather that we will see later this week and this upcoming weekend. For the coast, inland, and for Trinity County, rain and snow. Now, I don't know what happened there, but I should have put the snow levels in there. I'd say about 2,500 feet, 3,000 feet for you in Weaverville. So you could see snow, and I think the best chances for accumulating snow in Weaverville and Hayfork will be late tonight, early tomorrow morning. That is not out of the question. It's not guaranteed, though. We always know that, right? Forecast is never guaranteed. So Mount Shasta, so Siskiyou County, Modoc County, Eastern Mountains. Showers, possible thunderstorms, 3,000-foot snow levels, broad brush. Could get lower than that, could get a little bit higher than that. And then you notice Wednesday, see that chance? There might be a little leftover snow flurry activity, especially for Wednesday afternoon, which we'll take a closer look in your deeper dive here in just a bit. Dry, most likely by Thursday. Some of the models still kind of just holding on to that potential in the mountains on Thursday. For now, I'm keeping it dry, though. Really starting to warm up, though, and dry out here as we take into the weekend. But I'm beginning to see maybe by next by next Monday, another chance for some wet weather. Let's take a look at some of the cameras out there this morning, taking a look at Lake Oroville and just those overcast skies. We certainly have seen some of the showers out there this morning. That's why you can see the wet pavement out there. A bit of a breeze too, but it looks like things have cleared out at this part of the Lake Oroville North Forebay. Taking a look at Chico, the roads are dry at the current hour. But we did see some showers late last night and early this morning. Roads are dry on Highway 99 at Neal Road. Looks like we can even see some breaks in the clouds there. And this is looking at Highway 44 at Sundial Bridge Drive. There you have it. Looks like, of course, unfortunately, the cameras don't move there. We're going to take a look at what it looks like at right now. This is Elk Country, just north of Trinidad. We've seen some rain up there, that is for sure. Let's take a look at the coast. A little breezy this morning. This is what it looks like in Crescent City. This is the Harbor District camera. It looks like you can kind of see, this is really cool. I love this. First of all, the winds coming in. You can see the water being impacted by those winds. if you look, you can kind of see the streaks of rain coming down from those clouds. So it's raining over the ocean. It doesn't look like it's raining right where we are or where this camera is, but you can see that. I want to take you back to the camera here at North so I can get you to another camera that I would love for you to check out, because we're still seeing a lot of snow up there at the ski park. So I wanted to show you what it looks like up at the ski park. But before we do that, we got to get through that little ad, as you know, that they have on there. But this is what it looks like here out at the ski park. Oh man, still, I mean, I think it's what, the 11th is when the season officially is over. And this is what I hate. That when they've got to close the ski park before the snow melts. And it's a bit of a bummer. And I don't know this for sure. Don't quote me on this. But if I'm not mistaken, it has everything to do with insurance purposes. So if they were to extend the ski season past April 11th, I think it's somewhere around that time frame. If they were to extend the season past that, they would have to pay astronomical rates in insurance, because they have to have insurance coverage during the ski season. And that costs a lot of money. And that, of course, is why you got to pay the money to go on the ski lift and, of course, everything else. So if they go beyond the 11th or 12th or whatever, then they've got to pay big rates. And I don't know how that all works. But that's what I've heard, because a lot of people say, well, if there's snow up there, why can't we ski? Well, again, it has everything to do with insurance from what I understand. Again, don't quote me on that. If you know something otherwise, let me know. But, you know, that's always the bummer. That's the part that always kind of bums me out when we're talking about that. All right, we'll take you back to Elk Country. It's going to kind of get out of this camera here. And what we're going to do at this point, we are going to, it's kind of interesting. We're going to go to this before we go to the deeper dive forecast. Got somebody kind of checking in this morning here, and we have got Lois. Lois saying winds were 70 miles an hour woke me up. Thought I was going Oz. Yeah. In McKinleyville. This was in McKinleyville here, so definitely want to thank you for sending in that. Of course, it's still pretty gusty out there this morning. We got Kenny Elwood this morning. How you doing this morning? Good to see you. Good to see you there this morning here. Got a couple of other good mornings. Yeah, there you go. We got another good morning coming in from Victoria. Well, thank you for checking in this morning here. And we are now going to go to our deeper dive forecast. What do you say we do that? And before we do that, let's mention our sponsor, Wind River Resort and Casino. At Wind River Resort and Casino, enjoy friendly service, a wide variety of specials and promotions, plus all of your favorite slots and table games. All right. Couldn't do this without our sponsors. Couldn't do this without the support of Wind River Resort and Casino. So thank you for your support. Let's go ahead and take a look at our current conditions out there right now. And before we get to the current temperatures, let's get to the rain. And yeah, we did see some rain here last night. You see that band that moved through early this morning. Now things have kind of dried out. We're actually seeing a lull in the activity here this morning. If you look at the latest image here, you can kind of see just things kind of breaking apart. There's that line that we did see, even that lightning strike just to the west of Bernie this morning. You may have heard that not too long ago. Still some showers coming in along the coast here. But this will probably pick up in intensity as we get into the late morning and early afternoon hours. Now, right now, we're sitting at 47 for Redding, 49 for Corning, 50 in Chico. We've got those 30s in the higher elevations, and that's why we're seeing those chain requirements, especially east of I-5. Mainly just the wet roads on I-5 right now, Highway 89. Good news, same situation west of I-5, although there are chain requirements on Highway 36 west. So here's your Coffee with Krueger weather headlines: cool and unsettled to start the week. That's especially today and tomorrow. Rain and thunderstorms today and tomorrow. We've got snow levels on average between 2,500 and 3,500 feet, just depending on where you are. This will be through Wednesday. Now, when I say that, it's mainly today, tomorrow. That's the bulk of any activity that we see here. By the time we get into Wednesday, Wednesday is going to be that transition day where we go from the cool and unsettled weather pattern that we're in now to drier and warmer conditions. And speaking of that, dry and warmer for the second half of the week, this weekend, much warmer. It's going to be a bit of a break from the wet weather, and I think many of you will be happy about that. Swirling area of low pressure, cold air getting wrapped around that area of low pressure and just funneling right into Northern California. And, you know, you look at that signature, speckled clouds, that right there is a sign of a cold and unstable atmosphere. So what it does, a couple of things this time of the year in particular, is you see the snow levels dropping a little bit here. But as we start seeing the higher angle of the sun, you get more warming of the surface, you get more instability as a result. So when you have these colder air masses come through, you can see the potential for thunderstorms really begin to develop as well. And that's what we've got here for today and even tomorrow. The Storm Prediction Center is putting all of Northern California at least with a chance for thunderstorms. And what this essentially means is the ingredients are there for at least some thunderstorms. But at this point, we don't expect anything severe, but always have to be on the lookout once these thunderstorms do develop. Let's take a look at Futurecast here, take you through the morning hours. Here's 11 a.m. Yeah, all right, so by late morning, we may see a north end of the valley around Red Bluff northward, maybe some rain, maybe some thunderstorms developing at that point, but probably not as much activity down to the south. This is 11 a.m. today. We're seeing snow flurries in the higher elevations. I'd say at this point, about 3,500 feet, give or take. That's what I'd say. I'm looking out my window. There goes the trash guy. Woo! Home office, folks. All right, so there you can see we've got the thunderstorms here off to the west here, out along the coast here for Del Norte County. And we've also got some of those showers here, but not as active. In fact, what you're going to notice here for for Del Norte and Humboldt counties, look what happens. We go to the afternoon hours, we're getting much less activity. But by the early afternoon hours, look at this, getting pretty active here in the valley. Showers, thunderstorms, heavy rainfall at times. And think about this, this time of the year when we see these thunderstorms, you've got the potential for heavy downpours. We got the potential for gusty winds, lightning, hail. These are the types of storms that when they come through, the initial reaction, I love this reaction. It seems like every time a thunderstorm moves through anybody's community, they say, I've never seen rain this heavy. Well, you probably have, but in that moment, it certainly feels pretty intense. Just kind of a note that I always find it interesting. Anytime you always get that comment. This is the heaviest I've ever seen it. All right, probably not, but okay. I mean, I get it. But there you can see, of course, we've got that snow in the higher elevations, and we've also got the potential for thunderstorms for some of the higher elevations. But as I mentioned, see that? Again, it's beginning to break apart. So as we go into the mid to late afternoon hours, even the valley seeing chances diminishing. However, we still have the chance for showers by about 3 o'clock this afternoon. I mean, look at this snow up here. This is why we still expect to see chain requirements, I'd say above 4,000 feet. That's where you're going to see most of the chain requirements here east of I-5. But I mean, that's looking like some pretty good snow coming down. We've also got kind of that mix out towards Mount Shasta City, Bernie probably seeing a rain, maybe even a few thunderstorms around the Bernie area too. But see that? See how things are kind of starting to quiet down. So we quiet things down again by 5 p.m., still a chance for a shower. And even though it's not showing anything in the valley, we could still see a chance for a shower or even a thunderstorm, even at 5 o'clock this evening. But still the snow off to the east, turning over to scattered showers off to the west, snow flurries. But you see this right here? This is the next disturbance that's coming through, and we're going to start to see some heavier rain and heavier snow. So by 10 o'clock tonight, it's now on the coast, but we're really not seeing a lot of activity for the valley. Maybe around Redding, some showers by 10 o'clock tonight. And you can see dry conditions off to the east. So what's going to happen is this is all going to push eastward. So look at tonight and tomorrow morning. Here's 6 a.m. I mean, you're seeing that snow really coming down. So you see that broad brush, 2,500 to 3,500 feet? I think as we go into the overnight tonight, early tomorrow morning, there will be, I would say, that there's a possibility for a small window of a small opening of a window, that is, or a small window of opportunity for Hayfork and Weaverville to maybe see some light accumulating snow. Probably won't last for a very long time as we get into the morning hours. That'll then kind of switch over to rain, but you get the idea. Mount Shasta City, I think you're going to see some snow. And, actually, there could be the potential for some decent snow. We'll take a look at those snow totals here in just a bit. But Bernie, possibly seeing some snow too. Lots of snow off to the east. So with that all being said, when we're talking snow levels down to Hayfork and Weaverville, what does that mean for our chain requirements? Yeah, it's going to be pretty bad out there. So do be prepared for the potential for chain requirements on I-5, around Weed, Mount Shasta, north of Lakehead, Highway 299 West, Buckhorn Summit, Oregon Mountain, Berry Summit, Highway 36 West, possible chain requirements, and then east of I-5. That goes without saying. I mean, anytime we're talking chain requirements, I-5 north or west of I-5, guaranteed almost that you're going to be looking at, unless there's just no snow at all. But that's very rare, right? So noon on Tuesday, look what's happening. It's turning over to scattered snow flurries, scattered showers, possible thunderstorms. So see, the thing is, if we clear things out enough here in the valley, which that could happen, that's going to create the very good possibility for afternoon convective showers and thunderstorms. What does that mean? Well, the surface heats up because of the clearing skies. You know those days when you see just partly cloudy skies, but there's enough sun kind of poking through? What can happen is that heats the surface, that heat rises into the upper levels of the atmosphere, and that cold and unstable air then grabs hold of that rising parcel of air. And I tell you what, you can see a shower or thunderstorm develop here very quickly. So those are things that we got to watch here as we do go into tomorrow afternoon. Forecast models aren't really picking up a whole lot on that, but it's something I get my eyes on. I would not rule out that by the time we're watching Futurecast tomorrow morning at this time, we might see more thunderstorms here. Then you can see by Tuesday afternoon, most of it's off to the east, but things are starting to kind of quiet down. Look at this. By the time we get to Tuesday night, it's all pretty much done with, maybe some leftover showers along the coast. Now, the thing about Thursday, and we're going to talk about this here, and even tomorrow afternoon. Here's tomorrow morning. A light shower, dry for the valley, but look what's happening. As we go to midday, we're beginning to see clouds develop. This is that convectant activity I was talking about. Heating at the surface, rising up. Now, I don't think it's going to be in the form of showers or any thunderstorms for the valley. I think you're dry on Wednesday. But the mountains, this is something we see a lot in the summer because you are at higher elevation. You don't have to go as high to get into the colder air aloft. You tend to see those clouds and thunderstorms develop. So look what happens as we go into Wednesday afternoon. You see that? These little pop-up snow flurries and maybe even an isolated thunderstorm for some of the mountains. So this is just a classic. If we were looking at this same pattern in the middle of the summer, these would all be thunderstorms. But because it's colder, we've got the potential for some snow flurries for some of the higher elevations as we go through the day on Wednesday. But notice the valley, we're not seeing anything happen there. Kind of interesting. Now we take a look at the rainfall totals. I hate this. Especially when you're dealing with scattered showers. The thing is, we could be looking at a lot more rain than you're seeing right here. You get these thunderstorms popping up, you're going to see more than 500 inch of rainfall in Red Bluff. If you see more than one thunderstorm in Redding, yeah, you could see half an inch. But if you just see one thunderstorm, you're going to see less than that. So I would say a quarter to a half an inch in the valley. Again, just all depends on who sees the stronger thunderstorms, who sees the longer periods of that rainfall. That's the nature of these storms. And so you look at these forecast totals, you're like, we could see more. Yeah, you could see more than that. But it looks like we could be looking at more along the coast too. So here you have the winter storm warning, areas in pink. Now, most of these are through 5 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. However, right here, all of this expires, even Modoc County, it expires at 11 p.m. tomorrow. And that's just because, of course, you saw where we're seeing the chances for snow. These are my forecast snow estimates. And yeah, I have included maybe that potential. This might be overdoing it. I'd be on maybe the lower end of Hayfork, but maybe 1 to 2 inches of snow. That's not out of the question. If we get that small window of opportunity for snow in places like Weaverville, Hayfork, that's not out of the question. However, if we don't get that cold air to really sink down into Weaverville, Hayfork, you're not going to see any snow, maybe a mix. But Mount Shasta City, especially tonight, tomorrow, that's when most of it will fall. 4 to 8 inches, not out of the question. Bernie, you could see some accumulating snow. How about Shingletown too? Chester, you're talking possibly over 8 inches of snow there. 3 inches plus out in Alturas possibly. Etna, yeah, you could see some snow out towards Wairika. And there you can see out towards Plumas County, looking at 4 to 6, even upwards of 6 to 10 inches out towards Portola. So let's take you into your Thursday. Now, this model, what it wants to do is actually keep some of that instability around for Thursday afternoon. Now, Thursday morning, yeah, not much going on, right? But by this Thursday, look at that. We're seeing maybe some activity here still, maybe some snow flurries off into Siskiyou, Modoc, and the Eastern Mountains. That's not out of the question. For now, I'm keeping it dry on Thursday, but stay tuned. We'll have to watch that. But bottom line, anything we see on Wednesday or Thursday in the form of snow in the mountains, it's not going to be anything to really have much of an impact on travel or anything you've got going on. Just kind of a heads up on that, though. But there you can see Thursday, 5 p.m., most of it's all pretty much gone. Looking at the chain requirements. All right, so you can see Highway 36 West, yep. Highway 3, yes. Hayfork Mountain, for example, we're seeing some chain requirements there. Cedar Pass, east of I-5, chain requirements, but I-5 north looks fine. Highway 89 looks fine as well. 299 west looks okay, just a little wet. All right, here's your long range. Let's take you into your Friday, and there's Friday. Looks good, right? And we got the dry conditions here for the weekend. If you got any weekend plans, you're in great shape. You know, you think about what we saw last Saturday. It was great, right? And then yesterday, it's just the rain, the snow, right? Thunderstorms. But Sunday of next week looks pretty dry too. And then this is what I've got my eyes on. So the European forecast model, if we were to look at that, that would actually show that on Monday, we've got rain chances on Monday. This model, the GFS, is showing dry conditions. So for now, I'm going to call it partly cloudy for next Monday, but that may change over to rain. But we've got drier than normal conditions looking at the long range. We take a look at your lake levels, looking good. Last 24 hours, not quite a foot of elevate gain, but close to it. You can see out towards Shasta Lake and even out towards Lake Oroville. Capacity looking good. Historical average are looking pretty good too. Warmer than normal once we do get toward the end of this week and this upcoming weekend. You can see that in the trend here. So you think of where we've been over the last week, 10 days or so, it's just been below normal, right? But look at this. It's spiking up. We're getting up into the low 70s by Friday, mid 70s by the weekend, and then maybe even some upper 70s by the time we get into parts of next week, maybe 80. All right, we're getting that time of the year. Things are starting to warm up a bit. So we take a look at the wave heights today. They're fairly high. Wave heights for your Tuesday, still fairly high. There is a small correct advisory through this afternoon, but do note that may be extended into tomorrow. Your winds today will be from the southwest at about 15 to 20 knots. Okay, so here's your neighborhood forecast, starting off with Trinity County. Showers and thunderstorms. Then on Wednesday, maybe a stray shower. Otherwise, you're dry Thursday through this upcoming weekend. We take you to the south, showers and thunderstorms. Could we see snow in Hayfork later tonight? Sure. Yeah, not out of the question, even into tomorrow as well. Let's take you out to southern Humboldt County, where we've got 49 degrees for Redway, 49 for Garberville, 49 for Red Crest. All of these places seeing at least rain, if not maybe even a chance for a few thunderstorms. Same situation for Ferndale, Fortuna, Hydesville, Rio Dell, 48 for your high, 50 in Hoopa, 50 degrees for Willow Creek, 51 for Trinidad. All seeing the chance for showers and thunderstorms today. Most of it's this morning, by the way, for the North Coast. By the afternoon, it's going to start to kind of diminish. We're not going to see as much widespread activity later this afternoon and evening for the coast, but then by tonight that changes over again. Siskiyou County, Side Valley, about 48, 50 for Horse Creek. Showers, possible thunderstorms. Snow levels on average around 3,000, 3,500 feet. So say places like a mix is what we can see for places like Etna and Callahan and Mount Shasta. You can see a bit of a mix today. 43 degrees for Weed, 43 in McLeod, and 43 degrees for Tule Lake. Here's your Modoc County neighborhood forecast. Temperatures will be in the 40s for your daytime highs. 43 for Newell, 43 for Alturas, and 40 out in Aden. Your Eastern Mountains neighborhood forecast. I think Bernie, for the most part, you're looking at rain today, maybe some thunderstorms. And then by tonight and tomorrow morning, yes, maybe a chance for some accumulating snow, maybe a bit of a mix on Tuesday. Wednesday, yeah, you might see a bit of a mix. Otherwise, you're fairly dry, and then dry as we go into the weekend and warmer. For Lake Almanor and Lassen Park, it's a little chilly, upper 30s to low 40s, 41 degrees for Chester, 39 for Lake Almanor Peninsula. Could see some thunderstorms here this afternoon. Let's take you down to the south, where at Paradise you'll see a high of about 49 degrees, 36 for Mineral, 38 degrees in Janesville, and 46 in Doyle. And taking a look at your Valley neighborhood forecast of the south, brought to you by Walgamith Painting, 61 degrees out towards Corning, 59 in Chico, 60 for Durham, and Willows about 62 degrees. So here's your Chico 7-day forecast. Your temperatures around 60 today and tomorrow, showers and thunderstorms. Better chances for thunderstorms today than tomorrow, but tomorrow you still got that chance. And then we're dry and warmer, especially by the end of the week and this upcoming weekend. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at your Valley neighborhood forecast to the north. Chance for showers and thunderstorms today. Temperatures mainly in the mid to upper 50s. There you can see the dry conditions by Wednesday. Looking at your 7-day forecast for Redding, upper 50s, low 60s by Wednesday. We do have those mid 60s by Thursday. We're up to 71 degrees by Friday. It's warming up. And by the weekend, We are talking about temperatures in the mid 70s, looking at sunny skies out there, looking absolutely gorgeous this morning. And really, when we take a look at the 7-day forecast, really is what we're talking about here. Let's check in with some of you this morning, see how you're doing here. And we've just got some good mornings out there. Thank you. From James and Victoria, Tracy, all saying good morning, having a great day to everyone. So tell you what, we're going to wrap up the show here this morning and call it a morning. By the way, as I mentioned, Coffee with Krueger is no longer going to start at 7 a.m., but now at 6:30 in the morning. Just for some of you that are a little bit more of those early birds, maybe you're still career oriented and you've got kids at home, you're getting ready for the day. Some of my research has shown that between the hours of 6 and 7 o'clock in the morning is when people are still kind of around, they still have a little bit of time to watch, things of that nature. But by about 7 a.m., it's really go time. That's time to start really getting things ready to go, to get out the door, is what I've noticed in some of the questions I've been asking people around the community. Just, again, unofficial survey, if you will, but that's kind of what I've noticed here. So I think 6:30 is a good balance between those that like the 7 o'clock hour. Some of you like the 6 o'clock hour, so I think that 6:30 hour might be good. And I think that's the beauty of the 6:30 hours. You can just tune in for Krueger's Quickcast, and then you can dart on out after that if you're in a bit of a hurry here. So that's kind of the beauty of that as well. All right, so that's going to do it for us this morning. We are going to call it a morning, and we are going to take a look at some of the cameras out there. We've got some of those going on. And we're going to start off with Lake Oroville, live stream here. Thanks again for so much for watching. We'll see you tomorrow morning at what time? 6:30 in the morning. Have a great day.
Thank you.